I'm Sara Azari, NewsNation legal analyst and criminal trial attorney, also the host of Serving Justice on NewsNation Digital. So today, the prosecution rested in the direct examination of Cassie. The defense tomorrow will pick up with cross-examination. The problem that I have with a star witness like Cassie is that she's extremely secure in her testimony. She remembers details. She testifies to graphic, horrific details that makes a lot of these jurors very uncomfortable. And then she cites to names, witnesses, people who knew. But more importantly, her testimony is now corroborated by images of the freak-offs that were shown to the jury. So now you don't really need to believe her about the freak-offs. You could actually see what she was describing in her testimony in images. And you know what they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So we had a little bit of that today. And, you know, her direct examination ended with something that I believe the defense would use in their cross-examination with respect to her credibility, which is the idea of a money grab, the idea that she wrote some sort of a memoir about her experience and asked Diddy to buy the rights for $30 million. He then essentially, brushed it under the rug, swept it under the rug, and she then sued him and settled for $20 million. These are all facts that came out on direct examination. And it sounded to me a little bit like revenge, like she was trying to teach him a lesson. She said, I wanted the sum to shock him. I didn't do any research when I asked for $30 million. I just wanted it to be large enough that he would be shocked. And it raises the question, is this really a memoir for your healing, for your experience, for other women to learn from your experience, or is it a money grab? And I think the defense is going to go there. But ultimately, look, she has painted such a monster of this defendant, of Diddy, that the jury absolutely hates this guy. And this is only day 2. And so what happens is when a defendant is not sympathetic and they're a monster like Diddy is in the eyes of the jury, it makes the path to a guilty verdict much easier when they're deliberating. That's the problem we have here. And consent, you can't really go that hard on consent when the witness is explaining why she consented, that she was getting beat up and dragged, she was bruised all the time, and she was emotionally abused and psychologically abused. So when you're victimized to that extent, I think it sort of washes away the consent. So that's a bit of a problem. I think that's why the defense wanted to change gears after hearing her testimony. But what's really interesting about Cassie and this witness is that she nixes all the facts that are bad for her credibility. She nixed the idea of writing a memoir and asking for $30 million for Diddy to buy the rights. She explained that. She explains why she stayed in this relationship, why she consented. She says she had no means to go anywhere, and she also is very honest. She was cheating. She was cheating with Kid Cudi, and she was using a burner phone so Diddy wouldn't catch her. But then she explains that's what she did for her own safety because he was so violent. So unless the defense can come back with massive receipts to impeach her credibility, relationships that she has had that are promiscuous, maybe had freak-offs with other people, bringing in witnesses who can impeach her credibility, bad character, unless they can really smear this witness's credibility, I think she's really bad for the defense because she paints a very bad, violent man. And you have to think about this. We're talking about racketeering charges, so we're talking about predicate acts that are violent. We're talking about kidnapping. We're talking about sex trafficking. These are all things that she explained in testimony and could come in for all the charges that the government has in this indictment. So we'll see what happens on cross, but this is a very challenging cross because this is the prosecution's case.